Hello, OSA family. Welcome back. Thank you for coming back, and thank you to everyone who responded to the first video. I'm glad that it was helpful to some of you, and I do plan on offering these once a week for as long as they serve, for as long as they're needed, for as long as we're in this kind of pause, this transition, and this time. Yeah, it's been really helpful for me as well to feel and stay connected to the church community. So thank you for receiving these. So this week, I invite you to start in a comfortable cross-legged seat. You can't see me, but I've got my legs crossed in my chair here. A chair is great. Also, sitting on the floor might feel nice. A lot of ways to support yourself if this is uncomfortable for the hips, particularly, is to sit up on like a pillow or a block, or to support your knees with books or blocks or pillows underneath them. Just ways to allow for your legs and your pelvis to settle. We're just looking for not a tight and constricted pose, but a kind of a softening and a released pose. If this is no bueno for your knees and your hips at all, even with support, please feel free to find whatever posture feels good for you, or just plant your feet on the ground in a chair. That also is wonderful. We're going to be putting our hands in a specific mudra. Mudra just means a seal. This is a mudra that we all know, prayer. The one we're using today is called Dhyana Mudra, or empty bowl, empty vessel. So placing one hand on top of the other, thumbs to touch, and placing that right in your lap. And so allowing the hands to almost mimic the pelvis here, if you can see me. And so placing those in your lap there. Okay, and then once you're ready here, just allowing your eyes to close or soften. And use the next perhaps 3 rounds of breath to take a deep breath in through the nose and a sigh out the mouth. As you sigh, can you release your jaw, release the tongue in the mouth, release the neck and shoulders, and perhaps start to light up the back space of the body, feeling the back of your head, the back of your shoulders, the energy of your spine, your sits bones rooted down into your chair. And once you've come through those 3 rounds of breath, then I invite you to close your mouth if that's available to you, and just gently breathing in and out through the nose, through the nostrils. And so the scripture we'll be working with today is 1 Corinthians 3:16 through 17. You realize, don't you, that you are the temple of God, and God himself is present. He dwells in you. No one will get by with vandalizing God's temple. You can be sure of that. God's temple is sacred, and you, remember, you are the temple. So as these words wash over your body, your mind, your spirit, can you allow your awareness and your breath to drop down to the place of the pelvis? So for some of us, that might be easier to visualize and to feel than others. But as if you're filling your whole pelvic bowl with breath. On an inhale, perhaps filling the whole pelvis with breath, and an exhale, like you're emptying all of the breath out of the bowl. Breath might be a good imagery. I love to use the imagery of water. Filling this bowl, filling this vessel with water on the inhale. And an exhale, allowing that water to melt, to pour, to seep out of the bowl. Just allow yourself to stay with this visualization for a moment. So this place of the pelvis, it's the house of the first and second chakra. And these chakras all chakras have a right attached to them. The first chakra is our right to be here, and the second is our right to feel. And so as we fill our pelvic bowl with breath, we really are talking about our state of survival, of home, of safety, of security. And then also our emotional state, emotion, energy, in motion. And so when this place of the body, of the pelvis, is constricted and tight, it's our way of trying to control and manipulate this part of the body, but really it's the part that is the house of change, our willingness and openness to change, our sense of roots and groundedness in our home where we dwell. And so taking the next few rounds of breath here, to almost envision this pelvic space widening, opening, receiving, right? Allowing it to soften and become bigger, wider, more open. And again, this may be a new type of sensation or even an idea. So try to bring it out of a thought-based space and more into just an exploration. Get curious around this place in the body. Again, if you can envision a bowl, a vessel, filling and emptying with water or with breath, perhaps with spirit. On every exhale, surrendering, allowing yourself to be emptied, and then on the inhale, allowing yourself to be filled again. Self-emptying and being filled, emptying and being filled. Staying here for another, let's say, 5 rounds of breath on your own with this visualization. Something else that may help is your shoulders are directly connected to the hips. They serve kind of the same joint function. And so if you can envision your shoulders releasing tension, even your jaw releasing tension, it's also an invitation for your hips to release. So play around with those 2 spaces above and below. And then on the next inhale, or when you've completed these 5 rounds, gently allowing your eyes to flutter open for a moment. And so hopefully that's allowed you to ground yourself in your body. Physically, this place of the pelvis, and I keep doing this, the pelvic bowl, it houses this muscle called the iliopsoas, and the psoas wraps from the base of your spine through the pelvic bowl and around to the front of your hips. And it is, I think, one of the most important muscles in the body. They're all important, but this is the muscle that is in charge of our fight or flight physical response. So when we feel like we aren't grounded, we aren't safe, we aren't secure, our psoas is in charge of contracting and literally making our feet jump off the ground. That's kind of the muscle that helps us to contract and jump. But when we're in a stressed state, our psoas sometimes overreacts and it keeps us there. And so this breath work is the ability to slowly soften the pelvis, widen the pelvis, and remind the psoas and remind the body that you are safe, you are held, there is space. You are safe, you are held, there is space. So creating this space in our body, this temple, as the scriptures say. So I'd love to layer on today a moving meditation. I do a lot of work with movement as well as just meditation and visualization. And so it's very simple. It's taking this same Dhyana Mudra, and instead we're going to dip into our pelvis or down into this kind of well that's created with our legs. And on an inhale, fill up with breath right about to the heart space. And then exhale like you're emptying all that water back out to the bottom of the well. Exhale all the way down. Very simple. Inhale to scoop and lift. Exhale to pour out and release. Inhale to scoop and lift. Exhale to pour out and release. And so pay attention again to shoulders, neck, and jaw as you lift. Sometimes this likes to happen, right? Can you keep this soft? Be buoyant at the heart space. Exhale, release, and empty. So feel free, now that you know the movement, we're not doing anything more than this, to close your eyes. And as you dig deep, imagine every time you're going a little bit deeper, and maybe you rise a little bit higher. Exhale. Let the breath empty all the way out, every last drop of that exhale before you dip down. And so now we are melding our movement with our breath. It's almost like we're bathing the nervous system with breath and reminding the physical body, again, that it can surrender. So again, continue here in your own time. Continuing to keep that awareness down at the pelvis, this dwelling place. How can we create space for the Spirit to dwell in us? Perhaps your hands rise above the heart and start to almost wash the mind. And exhale, release. Rising all the way up. And like you're bathing yourself here with breath, exhale all the way down. Allow your movement to be different than mine, a different rate. Everyone's breath is different, inhalation and exhalation. So taking as much time as you need. We'll do this for 3 more rounds here. As you do that, I'll layer on this scripture once more. 1 Corinthians 3:16 through 17. You realize, don't you, that you are the temple of God, and God himself is present. He dwells in you. No one will get by vandalizing God's temple. You can be sure of that. God's temple is sacred, and you, remember, you are the temple. As you complete this last exhale all the way out to the bottom of the breath, let's all land in Dhyana Mudra, this empty bowl, empty vessel, resting in our pelvis. Keeping the eyes closed. Hopefully you found some spaciousness. And then as you're ready, on your next inhale, opening the eyes. Awesome. Thank you all so much for practicing with me again this week. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to Pastor, reach out to me. If I can help guide you through any of this or anything doesn't make sense. But I really feel like a lot of the times this work is something that is a felt experience and is often very hard to put words to. So if you feel like you felt something but you can't describe it, it's perfect. And just sitting in that not knowing sometimes is the work. So thank you all so much. I'd love to close the practice as we did last time. Again, in the yoga tradition, it is Om or A-O-M, beginning, middle, and end. And I'd love to close with the Amen, and allowing, again, the jaw to soften. It's kind of just an entryway, another entry point for the spirit. So placing the hands wherever feels good, maybe at the heart, might be back in Dhyana Mudra, or placed just anywhere comfortably on your lap. A deep breath in through the nose, and out the mouth. I'll chant once and then twice together. Amen. Amen. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your week.